Hey guys, Ty Thunder here. Welcome back to part 2 of how to lose weight fast. If you haven't seen part 1, we go over your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, we go over your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure, and we calculate how many calories you will burn naturally every day, and then added the exercises onto that as well. So part 2, we're going to be talking about the calories that we are inputting into your body. What are they made up of? We're going to go over some government guidelines, and we're going to go over the 3 main sources of food, which are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Alright guys, so we're going to start with carbohydrates first. Now carbohydrates get sort of a bad rap. No carbs before marbs. Take the carbs away if you want to lose weight before you're going on holiday. I've heard all this sort of stuff, which is true to a certain extent, but it can actually be the opposite as well. So carbohydrates are made up of 2 different sort of variations. You've got your simple carbs and you've got your complex carbs. Now your simple refined carbs are basically sugar, glucose. It's empty calories, so they provide no nutritional benefit to the body systems, the body function at all. It'll just give you a little bit of an energy hit, so increase your energy a little bit, and then literally does nothing for the body. Now the body, any excess energy, any excess calories that the body gets, it stores as fat. So we don't want to just take excess energy for no reason. So we want to try and reduce the amount of simple carbs that we have. Now simple carbs are biscuits, sweets, sugars, cereals, white bread, white pasta, that sort of stuff. We want to try and reduce that as much as possible because it's not giving us any nutritional benefit. It's just adding to our carb load and excess fat eventually. Now the other form is your complex carbohydrates. Now complex carbohydrates, they take longer to break down in the body, so they give you more energy. That's why they're called complex, because the body takes it longer to break down. And what that can do then is it makes us feel fuller for longer. So if we feel fuller for longer, we tend to eat less meals. In turn, we eat less calories and we can lose weight that way. So it's not always a bad thing with your carbohydrates if you eat the right things. So your complex carbohydrates, you're looking at your wheat, your vegetables, your oats, brown rice, your fiber starchy foods. So you've got your whole grains, your wholemeal bread if you eat bread, brown pasta, and they're all good carbohydrates to eat. And it's essential that we have your carbohydrates because they give us the energy for our body. 50 to 55%, with the majority of those, that 50 to 55% being from complex carbohydrates. If we are diabetic, anything like that, want to stay away from your simple as much as possible, because all that does is it increases your blood sugar levels, which is obviously what we don't want if we're diabetic. The last thing is every gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. So if you are doing your calorie counting stuff, every gram of food that you have that is simple, that is complex, is 4 calories. So that is carbohydrates. 50 to 55% of your daily intake of calories should be made up of carbohydrates. Alright, so moving on to your next of your big 3, which is protein. Now protein is very important in building, repairing of the body. So maintaining tissues, building, repairing muscles, helps with chemical reactions, it decreases illness. It's super important that we intake protein into our diet. And now you're looking at 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of our weight. If not, it's 10 to 15% of our daily intake of calories should come from protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. There's 21 of those, and we actually make most of those in our body anyway. But there are 9 essential amino acids, which you've probably heard before, essential amino acids that we don't make, that we have to get from food sources. And these foods can be meat, eggs, poultry, quinoa, fish, nuts. You can get them from any of those food sources, but they're so important. As I say, we don't make them in our own bodies, so we have to get them from food sources. Now obviously if you are trying to lose weight, trying to gain weight, then these figures will change slightly. So you'll increase your protein if you're trying to build a little bit of muscle, or if you're trying to lose a little bit of weight. Because if you go on a sort of a drastic weight loss program, we don't want to lose muscle So it's important to increase your protein intake and take some from your carbs and take some from your fats instead. And then protein as well, super important in children in their growing stages as well. So make sure that your children get those essential amino acids that they don't produce themselves. And just like carbohydrates, 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. So again, if you're calorie counting, that's an important thing to know. And that is protein. And number 3 of the big 3 is fats. Now, government guidelines say about 20 to 25% of our daily calorific intake should be made up of fats, but less than 2% of that should be saturated fat. Now, saturated fat is mainly from animal sources, so you're looking at your dark meat, dark poultry, fatty cuts of beef, pork, or lamb, and then your high-fat dairy foods, so your whole milk, ice cream, butter, cream cheese, and then like lard, things like that. So your saturated fat, what they can do in excess of that is it can increase your LDL, which is your bad cholesterol. And then what that can do is cause things like arterio or atherosclerosis, which can cause major coronary cardiac events, heart attacks, strokes, stents put in, lots of different CV issues as well. So we want to stay away from our saturated fat as much as possible. Our bad fats and our trans fats as well are included in that. And we want to stick to more your mono and poly unsaturated fats. Now, your mono unsaturated fats are mainly from plant-based sources. So you've got your cashews, your avocados, your almonds, those sorts of things. And then your poly unsaturated fats can be fish, flaxseed, your omega-6, omega-3 oils, things like that. So your 20 to 25% of fats, less than 5%, even less than that, made up of saturated fat. Okay, so those are your big 3. So you've got your carbs, which should be about 50-55% made up of your diet, and mainly sticking to your complex sources. You've got your protein, which is 0.8 grams per kilogram of weight, or 10 to 15% of your diet every day. And again, try to get those essential amino acids as much as possible. So your meat, your fish, your poultry, your nuts, your seeds, that sort of stuff. And then your fats as well. Minimize your saturated fats as much as possible. So your dark cuts of meat, fatty meat, whole milk, bread, cakes, that sort of stuff. And try to have more poly and mono unsaturated fats. You'll get your vitamins and minerals through that as well. And then the other thing is water. So you're looking to have at least 8 glasses of water a day, and that would depend on height and weight, but try to stick to about 8 glasses of water a day. And then try to cook fresh as much as possible, so you know exactly where these sources are coming from, exactly how much of what of those big 3 you're putting into each meal. But the main thing is that I always try to stick to is if you go to a supermarket and you pick up an item and you read the ingredients and you can't pronounce one of the ingredients, put it down, because generally that is not good for you. If you can't pronounce an ingredient or an additive, it's not from a good source, it's not good for you. So the main thing, guys, is what works for you is great. These are guidelines that you can stick to. Let me know how you get on below. If you want any more information, if you want me to go into more detail about anything we've discussed, because this is just a general guide, then feel free to leave a comment below. Like and subscribe as always, guys, and thank you very much for watching. Hope that helped. Stay safe, and I will see you very soon. Thanks, guys.